Eric, I'm excited about tonight, dude.
Yeah, me too. And that's a good looking hat you got there.
This hat, this
Yeah,
uh, this hat we're going to talk about here in just a minute.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I,
And
I think you're
like
you're wearing the same hat, right?
I'm wearing the same hat, and we didn't even plan this. We have the same shirt too.
Woo, 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 woo. What do they say about great minds think alike or something like that?
There we go.
Yeah. Guys, listen. Before we get this started, hit the share button. We're gonna have fun tonight. I'm already getting low signal already. I don't even know what's gonna happen. I'm nervous already, but we have a lot of stuff. So let's get this thing going. You ready?
Yep, let's do it.
We're gonna pack things up and hit the road and try to make it the next day.
All right. Well, welcome to episode 82 of the Drag Drive Repeat Show presented by Summit Racing. Another episode full of drag and drive content. This is a big one right here. We announce a new sponsor. That's right. We go over the stats from Super Week. We're going to talk about some records, some car counts, and some great stories. We got Mike Galimi of Hot Rod Magazine on to discuss Hot Rod Drag Week 2024 and 2025. And my brother Stephen Nark's he is gonna round out the show sitting right here, actually, on the stool that's next to me later. He'll be on talking about the MG Gasser build and his adventures with Blake Bowman on Race Week 2024. It's going to be a great show tonight, guys. I hope y'all are ready for this. My name is Mike Narks. I am the host of the Drag Drive Repeat Show and News, the source for news and entertainment in the Drag and Drive community. And Mr. Eric White, my right hand man, right here. Tell him what you got going on and introduce yourself, sir.
I am Eric White, the co-host of both the show and the news. It was a busy week at Hot Rod Drag Week. Took over 10,000 photos for the week, which is crazy for me. Um, we'll see some of those tonight, just a few teasers, but bear with me as I work through all of those pictures to get those posted. Um, and outside of that, help run the show and do some graphic design stuff for some other events. So I stay pretty busy throughout the week.
Yeah, that's an understatement, dude. And it's only going to get busier, man. It's kind of a weird time. We're in a slow period until the end of 66, which isn't as it's not as hard to put all the stuff together from 666 as it is the last week we just had. So we're going to talk about some of that as well. Well, guys, here's the deal. Y'all know we can't do this without you guys. Our race car friends are what kind of makes our world go round around here. Just want to say thanks to everybody that saw us and waved and took selfies and did all the stuff while you were at Drag Week, and then also all the folks at Race Week that were constantly tagging me in Waffle House stuff. Y'all are my heroes. I'm telling you, we're gonna get them as a sponsor for 2025, even if it's for some free hash browns. I don't know. I want them so bad. We eat there all the time. So I want to say thanks to our race car friends. You guys are awesome. And I want to say thanks to our sponsors. And you guys are going to notice a new one on there. We're going to talk about this here in just a second. But without our sponsors, it makes the travel part of this really very difficult. A lot of new equipment we've purchased over the last year, and that helps as far as getting out to events, the travel, the sponsors, all that stuff gets there. Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Chains 3D, WAF Racing, Performa Built Transmission, our new one, J Wire Solutions, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. Howard's Cams, Sweet Patina, Power Tube TV, and Racing Junk Classifieds. The list continues to grow around here. And if you would like to be a sponsor, obviously we want you to be part of the Drag and Drive community. How can you help grow this sport, but also help the people that are within the sport? That's why a lot of these sponsors really have come on board with us, or we've sought them out because really we're looking for stuff that is important or that our folks can use. So anyways, thank you so much to those sponsors that are out there. We love you guys so much. And Summit obviously being the big sponsor of the event or of the channel here. Let me get to the ad read. I hid it from myself somewhere in there. I should know it by now, right? Summit Racing Speed Legacy began in 1968 as a one-man startup and is now the world's speed shop with 4 facilities and 200 plus catalog editions. They feel your passion, they save you money, they deliver fast, and offer top-notch customer service for more than 1,500 brands. Make sure to download the Summit Racing mobile app for easy access to speed parts. You can find them on all social media apps: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. You can also tune into the On All Cylinders podcast for more automotive discussions like this one. From humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing stands by your need for speed. Again, you can find everything summitracing.com. I mean, it's super easy. You just type that in.
Yeah, and tell us what else we can find there.
You can find these Drag Driver Pete hoodies, which you're going to need. It was 59 degrees this morning in Northwest Arkansas. I was taking my daughter to school, my high schooler to school, and I had to run in and grab my Drag Driver Pete hoodie because it was pretty chilly in the car.
Yeah, it was 47 here, I think, when I went to work.
No thanks. No thanks. It was 90 a couple days ago. This is that time of year where you're turning the heat on in the morning, the AC on in the afternoon.
Yep. And it was awesome to see people at Hot Rod Drag Week wearing t-shirts. Obviously, I didn't see anybody wearing a hoodie because it was pretty warm our week there.
All week. Yeah.
For sure. But the Summit guys had these on. I seen people walking around the pits with the shirts on. So thank you to everybody that has purchased a shirt. They did have them while they were there at Drag Week. The Summit truck had them there. So I was glad to see people going over there and picking up some merch.
Yeah, it was awesome to see you could tell they were brand new, because it was like just right in it was still crisp. There wasn't like that had been rolling around on the ground for a little bit.
Right.
Also, it was great to see decals on cars all across the pits. I want to give a big shout out to Chad Garrett. I don't know how you say your last name. Garrett? I don't know. He was the first one we saw. Has a blue 12-inch on the back of the Mustang trailer that they used, Mustang car 65 or 6 Mustang, and then they pull a trailer, obviously drag and drive trailer, and had Drag Driver Pete on it. Man, it was super cool. Everything was blue, had the blue decals. I was primo stuff, and I want to say thank you for that. And by the end of the week, there were a lot of cars that had the Drag Driver Pete decals on them. So thank you all so much for supporting us. We really appreciate that, and we look forward to we are reinvesting all of that money that you have purchased stickers with right back into more stickers. So our inventory and selection is growing.
Yeah.
Inventory and selection.
In this box right down here, we're not going to show them yet, are some samples of some new stickers that we're going to be rolling out. And let me tell you, I am very excited for at least one of them.
Yeah.
But
so
if these
next week's show is going to have new stickers. I'm excited.
If this isn't live on the store yet, I don't know if you got them up today, but these 6-inch red, white, and blues will be on the website. We have those in stock, as well as the 12-inch red, white, and blue. So we do have these now in stock. So they will be on the website this week at some point. So you'll be able to pick them up
tonight. Yeah,
very cool.
I'll make sure I get those up tonight. I should have done that today, but listen, I was busy today. We had some fun stuff going on today. Will y'all lead us into this? Because, man, these are some shots you got of Tommy and them.
Yeah, so wanted to say congrats to Tommy and Jim from Summit for completing Drag Week in the new build. This is the S10 that Tommy has put together. I want to say the fastest pass in the Firebird was in the 10.5s. And I think his first pass that I seen was around a 10.5 in the truck. So obviously it's only going to get quicker. So very cool to see that. So we were able to get some rollers with them on the highway. So some gas station pictures. This one right here. This one is very nice.
This one, that's the primo shot, I think, of
Yeah.
of the week. Definitely top 10 for me.
Yep. And then the Milan background made for some great photos. So got a bunch of cars as they were pulling to the lanes. And then, of course, everybody else that was working at the Summit booth all weekend. Appreciate those guys for letting
Mhm.
us, take breaks under their canopy, step inside the Summit truck, and cool off for a few minutes. Chris actually rode with us for a few days and drove me around so I could get some of those rollers. So definitely appreciate him. Um, so thanks to all of those guys.
Yep.
And again, congrats, Tommy. Here's saying thanks. And awesome week with you guys. So yes, it was. We had a ton of fun.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to and big shout out to intern Chris.
Yeah.
Drove a lot, who got a lot of the rollers on the day one video. If you haven't seen that yet, all the rollers at the end of the video are right from Chris's hand. He got those with the GoPro, so I appreciate that for sure. It was awesome. And big shout out to Kevin and Alec too. Those guys were super nice. But I'll tell you, those guys were busy the entire time we were there. Like, they didn't have time to chit chat and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Even trying to get this photo was Friday morning, like beginning of the day. And we tried to step away, and I bet you it took 15 minutes before we could even get a break just to run over and take a quick picture.
Yeah, it was awesome, man.
Ti-
It was a great time, Tommy. You can keep him.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just plan on that from now on. He'll just hang out with us once we get to the events.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get him a shirt or something that says intern Chris.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Well, want to give a big shout out to our buddy Jay Blanchard. This is a huge deal for us. Like I said in the live stream from the staging lane or the tech lanes at Drag Week. Jay's kind of my wiring asshole. I ask him a lot of. I'm an asshole to him. I ask him a lot of stuff, talk about a lot of stuff, and he's been on here several times discussing the ins and outs of wiring and plumbing and all that. So they have come on board as a sponsor, as a new or as a show segment sponsor, which means we'll be kind of deep diving into some of the, I don't know, surrounding stuff around the drag and drive community, obviously. And then as the year goes on, we'll have Jay on several times talking about how you can plumb things to keep away from heat, how you can wire things to operate better instead of just like putting your fan on a switch or having it on when you turn your car on, how you can make all of that work. And I think this is, again, a great way to get more knowledge out into the community. So I want to say welcome to JWire Solutions. If you are not following JWire on Facebook, please do that, and Instagram, and obviously online. They have a ton of different products. We're going to actually dive into those on Saturday morning. We're going to talk a little bit about it later today in his segment, but we're going to dive deep into it on Saturday and then again later next week, because I want to have him talk about the blinker module that he actually let us debut for him a few months ago. So that's pretty cool. We want to talk through all of that. So, but they also took home second place at Hot Rod Drag Week Street Race Small Block Power Adder.
Yes,
Him
they
and
did.
Brian. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. And then found this out yesterday. Wanted to give a big shout out to Sharon Klausner and the team at Kakalaki Run. They gave away one of the Get Tracking Network's tracking systems. So I was the winner, dude. I don't win anything. I don't win
Cool.
anything ever. And I won this. So it comes with a free year of service. And what's even cooler, this is a great setup here, but they are based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And you know how often I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we're going to get to visit with these guys. They mailed it to me yesterday or day before, and he messaged me asking for my address. I sent it. He said, "Hey, it's coming from Tulsa. Should be there pretty quick." I was like, "I'm going to be in Tulsa tomorrow. So if you haven't dropped it off, I'll pick it up." And he said, "It's already gone." So that's the way they do stuff, I'm sure. So when you buy stuff from gettrackingnetwork.net, it it's going to get out pretty quick. But I'm excited to kind of get the deep dive on this and see how this works. Obviously, cars getting stolen is a problem. When we're home, it's not that big of a deal, but when we're traveling across the country and across the world, can become kind of an issue. So hopefully this will help a lot of folks in the future. And I'll be doing obviously reviews and things like that. I'll probably put it on my wife's car, put it on my car, put it on the hot rod, put it on the old truck, put it on the cart, all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. I'm excited. So I want to say thanks to Kakalaki Run and thank you to Get Tracking Network.
Yeah, very cool. I didn't even know you won that.
Yeah, she messaged me yesterday. I was like, "What?" Or Tuesday. What's today? Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday.
What day is it? All right, well,
Sweet.
we better get going, or we're gonna miss our timelines here.
All right. Uh, and before I jump into this, I should have put the picture that you got of me wearing my Driven shirt, hanging out the rental car, getting some of them roller shots, because Driven did repost that. I thought that was super cool.
Yep.
So they made comment about being along for the ride with us. So I thought that was super cool. I should have threw that in here, and I just now thought of that.
Well, hey, that's okay. It'll be on the Facebook page pretty soon in the albums, I'm sure.
Yep. So, Driven Racing Oil is the performance engine that can do it all. GP1 is the ultimate oil for any race or performance application, whether launching hard at the drag strip, enduring the extreme heat of off road and circle track, or pushing limits in top fuel drag boats and demo derbies. Winning racers choose GP1. Compatible with engines from classic hot rods to cutting edge race machines, GP1's unique surface cling and high zinc formulation ensures superior wear protection, particularly for flat tappet camshafts, while solving issues like cylinder washout with methanol and ethanol fuels. Crafted from the legendary Bradford, Pennsylvania base oil, then enhanced with state of the art additive packages, GP1 offers the best in protection and performance. So, as you guys know, you can follow them on social media at Driven Racing Oil, or you can head over to the website and pick up your oil or merchandise at drivenracingoil.com.
Yes. And make sure that you say hi to Bill. I was actually texting him earlier. He's headed to the duct tape drags in Tucson, Arizona. I think they're headed out tonight or tomorrow, something like that. So make sure you wave at that dude.
Yes, yes, yes. Good guy there.
All right.
So let's talk about Super Week. So obviously last week was Super Week. We had Hot Rod Drag Week, we had Race Week 2.0, and we had Redwood Rally all going on. So here's the numbers of cars: 353 cars for Hot Rod Drag Week, 232 cars for Race Week, and 237 cars for Redwood Rally.
Huge, man. Huge year for Redwood Rally. 232 is about what is normal for race week because they cap it at 250. So, you would see a few people not show up, obviously.
Yep. So for those counting at home, the total cars for Super Week on the road, driving from track to track, is 822 cars. How sweet is that?
Man, and again, like we've said for a couple months now, you're literally talking about you've got Michigan, you've got Texas and Louisiana, and you've got Oregon and California. It couldn't be more spread out. But at the same time, these all sold out. So as people talk about things being saturated, this is three completely different parts of the country. So they all sold out. They all were full. You can't get around that. Like, it just makes so much sense. I love it. I think it's amazing. I think again, this week is going to have lasting implications on how much the community grows simply because there are so many people that are out there.
Right. And for us here and media folks, obviously we weren't a fan of them all being on the same week because we could only be at one of them. But
Yeah.
I do agree. I think it'll be great for the community and everybody getting out there doing those events. So we'll have a full breakdown on Saturday's news of all these different cars. We'll probably talk about the classes, all that stuff on Saturday morning. So we're gonna get super nerdy Saturday. Super
Yeah,
nerdy Saturday. I kind of like that.
I think it works, right? We're going to go over the race week winners and kind of some of the stuff tonight, but we're not going to go super deep. And we're going to do that same thing with Mike Glemmy here in a minute as well for Hot Rod Drag Week. So once I can get my hands on all of the stats together, I think we're going to see some really interesting things come out of all of that. Well, let's talk about Back to the Streets. These are upcoming events. Back to the Streets 2024 starts. Let's see, today's the 25th. It starts tomorrow. So cars they're already in line at Milan to get in tonight to get, I guess basically set up for camp so they can be in first thing in the morning for tech and all that stuff. It will be live streamed on Motor Mania TV, thanks to Walter Racecraft. Super cool setup there. I'm really excited to see that event get a little more popular. Obviously, we know a couple weeks ago he was struggling to get some car counts. Man, I don't think he's had that problem. It looks like there has been an influx of people come in, and that's always a huge win for him. And I like Matt. He was on Drag Week, dude. Did you even know that? Did you?
Yep, I
I
saw him.
barely saw him. I was like driving down through there. And I was like, oh man, what the heck? What are you doing here?
Yep, I got to talk to him for just a couple minutes on
Yeah.
I don't even know what day it was. Thursday, I think.
Yeah, so he'll be good and tired, because you'll go right from drag week right into the final prep stages of your own event, back to the streets 2024. And then after that, maybe he'll take a couple days. I don't know, man. I just can't imagine all of that. So exciting to see that, and wish those racers and Matt all the best, the whole team. And then, of course, the second or third longest running drag and drive that's out there, One Guy's Garage Drag Weekend. Love the format here. You and I have actually talked about this in the past about dropping the cars at one track. You drive to another one for day one of racing. So everybody's going to drop their cars at Tri State. They're going to drive to Great Lakes Dragway, and then they're going to race there. That's day one. Day two is at Byron, right down the road from you. And then Tri State for day three. So you get three different tracks on a 3 day, like a regional event. So this is really, really a cool setup. I love how this is setting its pace. I love, again, I love this format. I can't wait to see how it works as we move forward.
Yep, this is a great event. They've got a good group of people. I was there last year for one day at Byron, so super excited for them to keep this going. It's a small group of people, but man, it's a good group there.
Yeah, that's for sure. And they limit it to 75 cars. So the folks that have been there, I think one guy's been to like almost every one of them or something crazy like that. And then, from there, you just kind of, there's people that have been to 5 or 6 of these for sure. So
Yeah.
it really is a great group of people that run that.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, let's move to the Molly Motorsports segment here. And it's like we're just a tad early
Well,
for Mike Galemi, but we've got stuff to talk about.
well, that's perfect because I'm opening something right now, which I think you know what it is, that has to
Mm.
do with Molly.
Oh yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
I'll read the ad read while you open that up and get everything ready.
All right.
Attention high performance enthusiasts and racers, meet the Molly Motorsport Power Pack Kit, your ultimate solution for Power Pack performance. The Power Pack pistons are made from either 4032 aluminum alloy to allow for tighter cylinder to wall clearances and improved temperature stability, or 2618 alloy to allow for increased detonation resistance. These are tailored for various engine families from small block Chevrolet to Volkswagen and Audi. Molly has you covered with everything. What sets Molly apart? Forged pistons, Grafal coating, and phosphate treatments for peak performance and durability. Elevate your ride with Molly Motorsport, where performance meets precision. Unleash the power within. Visit mollymotorsport.com for more details. And for all you podcast listeners out there, Molly is spelled Mahle. All right, dude, show us what you got, man.
I don't know if you guys can see that.
Oh yeah.
So this is a Molly Power Pack piston. I am going to be running Molly Power Pack pistons in the 240 that in the Mustang that I am going to be building or in the process of building for competing in a drag and drive event myself. So obviously, been to many of these now, but I have a car that I'm basically converting it from a track car into a drag and drive car. So we'll be running Molly Power Pack pistons. But what I thought was cool is they sent us these pistons with our logo engraved on them. And then it says powered by Molly on it. So I thought that was super cool. These are going to be on the desk. So I got this one actually here as Mike's. So I got to get this shipped to him. Along with a bunch of other stuff I got down here that needs to go back to them. But I've got one for myself as well, and right underneath me is a whole box of Power Pack pistons from Molly that I'm going to be running. So super excited about that.
Yeah, I'm ready for that car to come out. You've been building it for a while. We can run through it real quick. Twin turbo LS powered Fox body Mustang notchback car. This car built really, 850 cage in it, right? Yes.
It's not certified, but yeah, I think it should be it should cert to an 850.
Yeah, so kind of what I keep leaning Eric towards is let's go do some 10-0 racing, some SME, Street Machine Eliminator, some 10-0 Index at Race Week, stuff like that. I think the goal time frame of it being done is One Guy's Garage 2025.
Yep, I think that's what we're gonna try to shoot for. Is that gives me about a year to get everything together, get some testing in, get some street miles in, because anybody that follows me knows that I took apart the running car, um, all because I needed to fit a bigger radiator, and that just spiraled into Mahle
That
Power Pack pistons.
that,
So
that
I,
spiraled into while I'm in here.
yeah, 100%. So we got a
Yeah.
ton of new parts. Underneath my desk in my office here is just parts galore in boxes that I need to put together. So it's going to be pretty awesome. Obviously, running a Howard's cam as well. I think I've talked about
Mhm.
that before. So we'll have Howard's cam in there. We'll have the Power Pack pistons, car chains. I don't have it in here. I should have grabbed it, but he met me at Milan and dropped off the 3D printed cup holders and the roll bar light that's going to be run in there. So we're going to
Nice.
have stuff from him in there. We'll be running driven racing oil in the car. J-Wire, I have a couple things from his. I have the turn signal, or the horn mount that goes on the motion turn signal, and I've got the I forget what he calls it, but the piece that goes in the water pump on an LS to help recirculate the water to keep the engine cool.
Nice.
So so using as many of our sponsors' parts as possible to build a car, that's just my way of giving back to them for helping us. So
Well, and then at the same time, we're probably going to torture test some stuff. So
yeah, likely.
that's usually a good thing. So again, kind of the goal. Obviously, if it's done earlier, that would be a huge win there. But that's kind of the goal now, because I think my thought process come out swinging and have a highly competitive car. We could do One Guy's Garage and get good coverage. I'll co-pilot. We can get all that stuff all week, and then maybe Southeast Street and you after that for a week-long event. So
Yep.
we'll see. I don't know.
And it'll be good because I don't have a lot of seat time in the car. So even if the car, even if it'll run eights, it'll be good for me to get it set up, run tens, just get comfortable with the car before we end up turning it up, go crazy.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Mr. Mike Galemi is backstage, so we're gonna go ahead and bring him on. And again, Mike's been on before, so we've always discussed how awesome and cool you are. But give these folks kind of a rundown of what you did for Hot Rod Drag Week 2024.
Hold on one second here. I've
All of it?
lost you guys.
So Mike did. He was busy all week. It was great to.
Here we go.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, give us a rundown of the week for Hot Rod Drag Week for Mike Galemi.
Oh, it was super busy. Obviously, big event, 352 cars went through tech, and just trying to coordinate everything, right? And stay, manage all of the, all the photographers, social media, the writers, and then also keep, hotrod.com rolling with the guys who stayed back, right? Like I think people forget that it's more than just drag week. We have to, produce a lot of other content and deal with everything else that's going on with, SEMA coming up. We've got a big booth there, PRI show, a bunch of NHRA races. So we got a lot coming on in this back half of the season. So yeah, just trying to manage on site and then also stay connected in the office.
Yeah. So I know that what the daily hours look like for Eric and I, it's 18 plus. Is it kind of the same thing for you?
It's a little more manageable than that. But yeah, it's not a 9 to 5, right? And
Oh, yeah.
that going into this type of job and in this position that, here we are 8:30 at night and, I'm on here talking to you guys, the other night, 11 o'clock, just, hammering away on print stuff. We got our next print issues coming together. So yeah, I mean, there's moments during the day where you get some free time and, and then there are moments at night where it's just like I gotta get this done or get up early in the morning, which I like to do as well, and start working on stuff.
That's I don't know which way is better on a drag and drive. I don't know if it's better to stay up super late and then sleep till 7 a.m. or if it's better to go to bed at 11 and get up at 4. I don't know.
It's funny you mentioned that because Brian Robbins, had said, a couple times he had text and was like, we're parking for the night and going to get up early and go. And I kind of thought about it. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, the temperatures are going to be way cooler, ambient temperature. And, they always say if you're tired, don't sleep later, go to bed earlier, right? Like that's always the recommended by people who know better than guys like us. So, I don't know, he might be onto something. They would do, I think, one checkpoint, pull in, and then hit the road the next day.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Robert Voss is saying we were staying up late and waking up early trying to keep the car alive. Yes,
Yeah,
I think
no,
that's the
it's
story for everybody.
yeah, there's no shortage of that. And if you guys were familiar with Robbins and Goldstone's that one night where they had to pull the engine, weld it up, weld the cylinder head up, and get it back on, get it running. And I think they did. I think they phased it in the morning,
Yeah.
and then hit the road because I think he said he was just super tired, didn't have a cup of coffee yet, and needed to take a moment.
Yeah. I think they got the car started at like 6 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah, yeah. They got to Milan. When did they pull into Milan? Like 1 or 1:30. I remember. I think we were already on the road,
Wow.
following people when they were weren't even through the gates yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys have earned it this year. He was on with Wes Buck today on the Drag Illustrated show, and and Brian too. They were both on, and I don't think normal drag racers understand the struggle that it takes to, especially keep that car alive. And man, those guys have had it hard this year. They, engine out, that tore the oil pan up at race week in 150-degree weather. I mean, like they've earned it for sure. They've earned it.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it, stuff, like a car like that, yes, it's a tube chassis. Yes, they work on it quite a bit and they're well versed in it. But when you deal with a pro mod, those are designed to work on, right? Like a
Mhm.
Hemi is meant to come apart in the car, and swap a piston between rounds. Like everything is designed that way. And I think that's it's something that it's not like that on Dragon Drives. You don't have the hoist, you don't have the crew, you don't have protection from the elements in many cases.
Yep.
So yeah, it is a big difference on a car of that caliber.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, why don't you give us a couple, 2, 3 of your favorite cars for the week?
Man, I struggled with that when Mike had sent it over earlier. I don't know. It just depends on what time, what side of the bed I get up out of, and there's so many good cars. I know that's just a super weak and pathetic way to respond.
Yeah, other than the boat, what was your favorite?
Yeah, the boat was great. The milk truck, no matter how many times I see it, it still makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Especially when you see it going down the road. I always enjoy that. A big Grand National guy, so to see the two Grand National Sams and the other guy on tour, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, both of those cars were like the paint was perfect on those. Man, it was
right.
They're so nice.
Yeah, I'm like on a big Grand National kick right now too.
Yeah.
Glenn Sheely's Corvette, the '62 Corvette that won all motor small block.
Yep.
I think that thing went high eights all motor. That's super impressive. The car is super cool, super clean, runs awesome. That's a lot of fun to watch as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Eric's got some photos. So, Eric, if you want to kind of cycle through some of those as we run through some of the conversation here, let's talk about the Deal Brothers real quick, because obviously they're one of my favorite power teams out there. Those guys, 200-mile-an-hour club. Finally, now all they got to do is get consistently in the sixes. They fought for that. I think they did one day this week, right?
No, I think they just missed. I
think
think he
so.
went 7:0 something, and I think he went 7:09 or 7:04, which is a single. Yeah, it's a single pass record for Super Street Small Block Power Header. That's one of the records.
Yeah, 7085. Yeah, wow.
There you go.
Golly, that's tough, man. Yeah, that's the next goal for those. 200-mile-an-hour clubs, pretty exclusive, man. What, 18 people now, maybe?
Yeah, 18 or 19. We had 5 new members, so I think we're up to 19.
Wow.
Which is
That's
the biggest class we've had. It just shows that's the level of cars that that these folks are bringing out. And Glenn Hunter got in there this year, which was awesome, and a guy that we
Finally.
know has been 200, right? But he's never done it
Mhm.
on drag week and drag week rules, so that was
Yep.
great to see him grab that, and all the others, right? I mean, everyone, it's just such a challenge, and the slim numbers show how hard it is.
Yeah, and I'm just looking here. His that passed 7004 at 200.98.
Yeah, yep.
And
Solid.
I want to say if last time you were on, we were talking about the bridesmaids to the 200 club, and he was, I think, one of the closest guys. Him or Tom McGilton were the closest that had been there, like 199s or 196 or
Glenn.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Glenn came close a couple times. Yep.
Yep. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Wow. Yeah. Big shout out to the 200 club, and obviously the 850 class this year. Man, that's my jam. But those
Yeah.
guys, they don't play, man. They do not play.
That was one of the other stories I was thinking about I don't think got a lot of attention. Randy Seward takes out the third digit, 8509 average. In any other year, it's like people just mind would be blown. But Trance last year was even better, right? I think
Yeah.
what did they set the record at 504, I think it was,
Yeah.
or 506, I forget. But something just super lightning fast. And
Yeah.
Randy had just an exceptional run at it. Even the last day he had clinched it, and he still stayed in and made more runs
Yeah.
because he wanted to push it down lower. And you know, uh, I'd have to go back and look. He may be only the second time anybody's ever gone 5-0, anything on a 5-day average.
Oh yeah, I mean that's for sure. Before that, I think it was like a 14 or something, 12 or 14, something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it was Dustin Trance from 23 or 22 that was like I think it was 512. I don't know. I'll have to look back, but yeah, it's crazy. That just showed. That's why I love that class so much because as of day one, dude, Brian and Jay were in fourth place with a 506 or something like that. It was like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah, you go 51 with a 3 and you're like, man, I'm rocking. And then, someone goes, 50 something and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not rocking.
No, I'm not. But hey, you know how it goes, man. Attrition kind of ate a lot of that class up. You could see early in the week, and we're going to talk about all these numbers and stuff Saturday morning. But early in the week, it was like if you weren't five low, 512, 513, you really were going to have a big fight on your hands. And so I'll ask you this. This is probably one of the hardest things because all it takes is one bad transmission day, just like Jay knows. But if you have a situation where you are, say you're in the five teens, man, you can't hang it up because you still gotta try. But like, wow, if you're average of 515, 518 by day three, you may be in trouble at drag week for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's an average, right? So
Yeah.
the further you get into it, when your problems come up,
Yep.
the harder it is to recover. Um,
Yep.
it's like, yeah, I mean, to move the needle with, a 4-day average is incredibly hard,
Yep. And then I
especially
want
with
to,
that, right? It's like you can't
oh
just
yeah.
bury it like the other classes without the index. You can't just bury it and say, oh, well, I could, if I go 3 tenths faster, 4 tenths faster. I mean,
Hmm.
you've got 500 is it, right? So if you do the math
Yeah.
with 500 every day, you're like, well, I still can't catch
That's right. That's right. Well, I want to talk about some kind of interesting things that I came across just in the few minutes that I worked on this today. Do you know there's more than 4,500 racers that have lifetime been a part of Drag Week? Now, that's not taking out any duplicates or anything like that, but 4,500 people have raced at Hot Rod Drag Week across years. I thought that was a pretty cool number.
mind blowing,
Yeah.
absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah.
And it's 20 years, right? Which you're like, oh, that's a long time.
Yeah.
But it's also like a new style of racing,
Oh yeah.
right? And it's one of the few like new genres that's been created in the last 25 years.
Yeah, and again, I think the streetcar stuff is where it's at. I mean, obviously, door slammer stuff has always been popular, but like you start looking at 20 years, 19 times it's been ran. I mean, that's more than 200 cars average per year. That's a bunch. That's a big daily race, or that's a big weekend race if you were at any track across the country.
Oh yeah, no, and you kind of look at some of the participation, and then early on, over the summer, I was counting some stuff up, and man, I can't. I want to say it was like 2015 or 2016 where it really started to, participation really swelled.
Hmm.
Really, and in 2016, I think was the biggest at 392 for drag week. I don't know what other groups get, but that was the biggest drag week we've ever had.
Yeah.
But it hovered in that 250 range for a little while, right? But the first one had what 40,
Right.
and then I think it went to a little over 100, which if a little over 100 cars came, you'd be like, what the hell's happening?
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
right.
but you look at just that steady progression of growth, over that time period,
Yeah.
is really what you kind of look at and you say, okay, yeah, like it started to catch on.
Yeah, we talked earlier about some people think that there's maybe some saturation, but I'll tell you, with 3 events going the same week and there's still 800 cars that are competing across the country, that's pretty damn strong, man. That's that's
Yeah,
wild to
yeah, and
me.
I don't know where saturation point is, but it is definitely out there, right? And you see
Yeah.
it with other types of stuff. But yeah, to your point, there are 3 events. Where was the third one? It was, I know there was obviously Rocky Mountain, or Race Week was down
California.
south.
Yep.
Oh, in Oh, that's right, Redwood, right.
Hmm.
So I mean, you're also talking 3 very
Oh yeah.
different marketplaces, right? And I think that does help. It's
Oh
when you
yeah.
have an X275 race, like Cecil, and then you have one in MIR the same weekend. And they're
Yeah.
they're 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 only a couple hours apart.
Yep. Yeah. That's
So
gonna make some people question which one they need to go to.
well, there's always that sense of urgency, right?
Yep.
Well, oh, I don't have to worry about it because there's another one next weekend. I can miss this one,
Yep.
right? And when you start to lose that, it becomes a little bit of a challenge.
Well, and I think Bryant said it best today was that, you know, you've got to have that want. So, are we going to see people maybe go, "Oh, well, I'll just go to one later in the year and I'll load my stuff up and go on home now." But if we can keep the mentality and keep celebrating these guys that have these huge, I hate to say thrashes to get their cars ready because we hate for people to thrash through that stuff, but if we keep celebrating them and keep pushing that agenda and that camaraderie with everybody, we're going to keep that up. But when you start seeing people go, well, there's one in 3 weeks, I'll just go to that one
Yeah,
instead, then it becomes a problem.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's that urgency, right? When you lose the
Yep.
urgency is when alarm bells should be going off.
Right. Well, two quick things here. So obviously nerd up a little bit, but I had to see how many people had done 5 or more hot rod drag weeks. 232 racers have done more than 5 hot rod drag weeks. Thought that was kind of a cool number. And then more than 10 events, which is more than half of what y'all ran. There's 40 racers that have done more than 10 events. Thought that was super cool, man. It just shows the friendship and the companionship that comes along with hot rod drag week running for that long.
Oh yeah, for sure. One of the things that does disappoint me is they had changed, like, ticketing systems, so we can't go back and look at some of the historical data. It
Mm,
just was never recorded. So
yeah,
whenever we came on this current system, we have back to that data, which I think is quite a while.
yeah,
But I'd love to have seen from day one, instead of just going through the whole list manually.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. I'll tell you, there's some time spent in that list for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a folder with every set of results, and you open it up, and you know I've counted plenty of lines over the years.
That's right. How did I sort that? Oh crap!
Yeah.
On the next class. Yep. Yeah, that happens.
Well, a couple more stats that Mike provided here. So for 9.99 and quicker, there was 58 cars.
Yep.
For 8.99 or quicker, there was 34 cars. 7.99 or quicker, there was 12 cars. So pretty decent there. This was the most 6 second averages in hot rod drag week history. Do you have that number, Mike? What the number of it was?
Yeah, the three. Yeah, the three
Yep.
6 second averages. We've never had 3 6 second averages.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
Brian
the top three.
Goldstone, Alex
Yeah,
Taylor, and Stephen
Spees.
Spies.
Nice.
Spies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Spees. Yep, yep,
that's all. And
yep.
that's the Blue Nova with the was that Ford powered, right? Is that what Jesse
Yeah,
Pocket 3G was saying? That's
it was
awesome.
Yeah.
a John Kazi Boss 9 engine,
Oh,
570 inches with twins on it.
come on.
And and some people will be like, "Oh, why is that?" Well, I mean, if you're familiar with Steve Spees, he raced IHRA Pro Stock, and he used John Kazi engines on the Pro Stock side. So it's just
Gotcha.
natural that that's his go-to guy
Oh yeah.
for
Yeah,
power.
he knows that stuff works. So he's like, let's do this as a drag and drive. It would be fun to see those conversations come about. Be in that room when they're like, yeah, I know I've been racing quarter mile all this time, and we never worry about it going, being hot or anything like that. But I want to drive it 1,000 miles.
Yesterday was there it is. Yesterday was an interesting day. I think it was 4 or 5 calls of just friends, really good friends, hardcore into drag racing, who wanted to just talk, bench race, the what if,
That's awesome. Yeah.
like, engine combinations. And it's funny to hear, some of the, they just don't get it. It's
Yeah.
like, this has to survive. The oiling, the heating, all of that. It just, you look at, Schroeder's problems and, and Ned Dunphy's problems, and,
Hmm.
those two right out of the gate, they're valve train related.
Yeah.
And, and it's, I don't think, these guys understand you can't take that mentality from what they're doing and apply it here and work backwards.
Yeah.
And, a lot of engine builders are, they don't get it either. They just
They're
can't,
like,
they
we,
just
we
can't
don't
wrap their
have
head
to
around
do
it.
it.
They're like, you
Yeah.
want to do what?
Yeah. Why do you
And
want to do that? That's hard, right?
no, and it's the fun of it, right? That's
Yeah.
the great part. When I do a lot with Mike Giovannis, and we've got this other car coming, um, just trying to push that envelope and say, okay, you use this type of part for this, we want to apply it to that.
Yeah.
And that's been great, and that's half the fun, for at least for us, just to figure it out.
Right. So, couple quick things about 6 second stuff, because a lot of times they get a lot of the attention. But listen to this. Monday, there was 6 cars that had a 6 second ET turned in. By Tuesday, we were down to 4, and by Wednesday, we were down to. There were only 2 cars that turned in a 6 second time slip.
Wow. So the top three obviously ran sixes.
Hmm.
Ned and Schroeder. Who was the sixth?
So this you have. So it's Ned, Bryant, Schroeder, David Armentrout got his first
Oh,
six to
yes, that's right.
681.
Yes, yes, yes,
Steven
yes.
Spees and then Alex Taylor.
Yep, I forgot about him. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
awesome. A huge shout out to those guys. Man, he was so excited. Paul Powell was so excited on the line when that happened. I mean, it was just like jumping up and down. Yeah, I can't believe it. And then, sadly they didn't go any further, but they have the 6 off their back now. And I think that was his first 200-mile-an-hour pass as well.
Oh, okay. Nice.
For Armentrout, something like that. So close.
Yeah.
It's pretty
I remember
amazing.
seeing them. I remember seeing them testing. And I guess they had gotten a new lockup set up, and the typical drives out, and then you could just see where it locked up, and it came up.
Yeah.
Carried the wheels a bit. I think it was about a week or two ago. That was fun.
Yeah, love that setup there. And then yeah, it's going to be fun. Again, we're going to dive deep into that stuff and get all kind of nerdy on Saturday morning. I don't want to dive too deep right now, but I've been looking. So a lot of fun there.
Yep. So the last thing that Mike had here for stats wise was to make the top 10, you would have had to gone quicker than a 772 to get in the top 10 for this year.
And that's the average.
That's the average. Yep.
The average, yeah. No, and I just haven't had time to do it. But I wanted to go back and look at some of the top 10 stuff in the last couple of years,
Mhm.
and see where that stacks up. Which I have to imagine it's significantly quicker. So I think that's why we safely say it's the quickest drag we've ever had. When you
Yeah.
look
Oh,
at it
yeah,
from
for
a
sure.
at a wide angle, not just a microscope. Obviously we've had Tom and Jeff and some other guys go quicker, on the overall win, but just the wide range of fast cars was super impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2023, who's this? Jason Burgesson has a 7.9999 average to be number 10 on the
Okay.
list. But sorry, let me just one more check here. Let's see what number 10 is for 2022. That's an 812. So yeah, I mean definitely quickest
Yeah.
year out there. But
Yeah.
now I gotta
Yeah.
quit looking at stuff. I'll get too nerdy.
Yeah, it's two tenths, right? Like that's
Yeah,
huge.
that's huge on an average for sure.
Hmm.
Let me get my notes back up here because we had some other fun stuff. So I want to talk about some Hot Rod Drag Week records that fell. Obviously, Bryant Goldstone come in. Just his main focus was to knock down the Ultimate Iron record, which he did. He had knocked himself out. 2023 was a 6.672 average. He ended up with a 2023 is 6.743. He dropped it to a 6.672 for 2024, and that puts him. There's nobody that can reach him now in our Dragon Drive World Champion presented by Summit Racing point series. Like he's so far out on everybody right now. It's intense because he literally now has 3 perfect point events. Like nobody could have gotten more points than him unless they had a 5-second average. So pretty awesome. Big shout out to
Nice.
him. Super Street Big Block Power Adder, Jim Treadle, our boy in the green 67 Firebird 77001, beat the old record that fell from 2016. George Gallimore, that's a big name in the Dragon Drive 70 Monte Carlo. 2016 7741. So dropped it by 400ths, which is a lot, And so you start looking at how long these events have held, since 2016. That's a long time. We're in a completely different car build now. There's it's very strange to see that. And so big shout out to him. And then Wayne Baker, the man
Yep.
that used to do big, amazing wheelies, has got the car tamed down. It's still a lot of fun to watch, and I can't imagine driving 150 miles an hour in that car. But he dropped the Gasser A record down from his own 2022 8.958 to an 8.831. So huge
Right.
shout out to Wayne for just continuing to go fast.
Yeah. No, that was super impressive. I think the gasser cars on the road are always
Oh,
unique, right? Yeah, because
oh
you're,
man.
you're most of us are around a variety of these cars throughout the year, but the gassers are definitely something you just don't see all the time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I want to bring up this picture that Eric shot. I love this. This is probably a hot rod class car here. This one had my attention all week. It makes me want to build some kind of ratty hot rod for sure. And then Eric, did you put in? I think that. Oh well, and then you got blasphemy, which do you want to talk about a little bit of the? I mean, there's no drama around it. Like, obviously there's been some posts made, but I think the A-arm setup would drive way better, right? Than the solid axle. This car goes like 150 miles an hour, right?
Yeah, no, I would think so as well.
Yeah.
And Keith Turk and Lonnie Grimm, kind of went through that whole thing, prior to the event with Mike.
Yep.
Went through the rule book, and and they felt that what he was building was still, as what the class intended.
Yeah.
The car came with A arms from the factory, and
Yeah.
that's Keith's our guy, and he's been around this stuff way longer.
Well,
My
I
two
think
cents on it when they asked me was everybody should just build a Fox Mustang.
it just lengthen the struts on the front, and it's suddenly a gasser. It's
Yeah,
gotta have the look, right? Yeah.
the stance. Yep.
Yeah. Well, Gasser B, I want to give a shout out to Cody Helger and Gasser B. Almost beat the record. Current record's a 9.521, and his average was a 9.551. Man, how hard would that be for you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
One
A
day I
full
needed to be
week.
doing
Yeah.
tens. Yeah.
Full week chasing it. And that's yeah, that's the fun thing. That's
Yeah.
that's 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 great. I'm glad we had compiled all of the records, and guys can chase it down and kind of see where they
Yep.
stack up against the top of the class.
Well, and again, you're talking about 19 years of 20 years of this event being around. Like the records that are set now are salty to say the least.
Yeah. No, I always look at it as like they do in Bonneville, right? And you look at some of the small tire cars, you can say, hey, I want to do Super Street this. Let's put a bigger crank in it and go big block and go
Mm.
after that record, then go after the modified record. So you have like this ability to kind of move up and down to chase some records, which is I hope some people look at it and take it that way.
Oh yeah, Yeah, that's for sure. And big shout out to John Paul Franks, who literally was working on the car, I think in the trailer on the ride up, trying to get his car ready, and goes out and runs like 870s, third pass on the car. So he had a real good opportunity to give Tab Scott a real run for his money. Just sadly, car just got together and you just didn't have time to test and see that there were sparkly stuff in the bits. And so luckily they just called it and go back home to race another day.
Yep.
Same
Yep.
thing with the Sweets. I think they were on track to break some records and
Mhm.
put a window in the engine. So that's never a good thing either.
Yeah. No, that was tough, man. And those guys are always smiling too.
Mhm.
Always, even when they're out, just a great family. I look forward to them, conquering drag week.
Yeah.
Now 2 years in a row, it's two different problems, and it's all right, guys. Now now it has to be just yes, let's get you the finish. So
Yeah, I wonder what the lift is on that setup. It's more than 800 cubic inches. Like, do you think it's an inch and a half? Are
no,
they like,
no,
oh man,
the story I do reveal it, and I always joke this is the greatest line I think I've ever written in my entire career. Uh, the iTrade Pro Stock cam was 1.2 inches, and then whatever they had in there, I remember doing the math on it, and it was a true 3/4 race cam. So it was 3/4 the size of the Pro Stock cam.
that's awesome.
Yeah, but
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, and Brian Robbins has kind of reworked that whole thing.
Mhm.
Obviously, way out of what it was designed to do, and he's modified it quite a bit to do
Yeah,
what they're doing.
yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Well, let's before we end it here, I want to talk about some Hot Rod Drag Week 2025. So, man, what are you able to tell us? What has kind of been the thing?
So,
We
uh,
want to be caught up as much as we can.
um, going into last week, we knew, just we've got to get on it earlier and lock it in place to announce it earlier. We will be announcing it much earlier than we normally do. We started already talking to a host track last week. We, sent an email, traded a few comments back and forth. He has an event that he's waiting to hear back from the promoter, who was interested in moving the event anyway on dates. So
Cool.
he's waiting to hear back from that promoter as of this afternoon. Um, and so we should, once you lock in that host track, and we kind of know where we actually know where we want to go the next three, and then it's just the next three will be just getting them in place and get
Yeah.
all our paperwork done, and like everything, and when you do a business transaction, you get your contract signed and lock it in. And once
Yeah.
we get that together, we'll make that announcement, and the plan is, as long as everything goes as smoothly as it's been going right now, it would be significantly earlier.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, and there'll be, if it's the wish list, there'll be two new tracks that we've never visited before with this event, or this type of racing, and two that have been on tour before.
Oh, nice. Okay, so that gives us something to look at. Because I think the last time you were here, you were saying y'all had been to like 35 tracks, so that kind of helps narrow it down, maybe some.
Yeah,
Just
36 now with Milan, I believe it is, because I
oh
don't
yeah,
think we had announced last time I was on. So yeah, I think
oh
with
that's right.
Milan it's 30,
Yeah,
30 tracks. Yep.
yeah, because you were on like the 24th and it came out the 25th or something like that. It was
Yeah.
it was like the next day. That's awesome. Well, we hope to do that again, certainly in the future. That'd be really cool to have
Yeah.
you on and kind of discuss all that stuff.
Yeah. No, and I think it's no secret, right? Like PRI makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Um, to make that announcement, kind of make, as the PR people call, the moment. Um, but we'll see.
Yeah.
If you got the dates, don't hold it.
Hey, I'm with you, man.
PRI will
There's
be here. Yeah, PRI will be
yeah.
here before we know it.
Oh,
Obviously, we also, another thing, I talked about it at the award ceremonies. We evaluate the rules at this point too, and
mhm.
then lock them down for another 3 years. Which I love the lockdown.
Yeah.
And I think the best, Turk and I have been talking since the summer on that, and I think we've got notes, a lot of notes that we've taken, but I think the consistency, not to say there's not going to be any changes, but it's going to be fairly consistent.
Yep.
There will be some changes, but they'll be done with the best interest of the program in mind.
Yeah, and I think that is very smart, and we're actually adopting a little bit of that at the circuit too, which I know is just a regional event, but that's kind of the goal there because people are beginning to build cars, obviously for these, and as these events become more of your annual pilgrimage, people are beginning to. I'm going to do drag week every year. I'm going to do whatever every year. You've got to have the same rules every year because it helps build that car. And again,
Yeah.
test, and you're not 3 months beforehand having to change something completely, going to carbon doors or being able to run a different size tire or something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
No,
did it big time.
yeah, it definitely helps, and that should always be the goal for any type of racing.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you coming on tonight, dude. I know this was kind of last minute, and I
And no
really
problem.
do appreciate you coming on here. I'll send you some stuff that I see, and man, we'll just be watching for all the drag week coverage in Hot Rod Magazine.
Yeah, we got more coming out. We're putting together the print issue, which a lot of that print issue will be drag week related.
Yeah.
But we still have more stuff to digitally to release this
Oh
week,
yeah.
to wrap up all the great stuff that everyone did with us last week. So
Yeah, man, such great content, dude. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yep,
thanks, guys.
thanks.
Appreciate you having me.
All right, man. See you,
Later.
See ya.
dude. How cool is that, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
always really interesting. I mean, think about what he sees as far as like across the spectrum of hot rodding or the automotive aftermarket or just culture in that sense. I mean, everything that Hot Rod Magazine does, digitally and print wise. I mean, that guy probably sees it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Think about that. That's pretty crazy to me. All
Yeah.
these harebrained ideas they have, they go, "Hey, Mike, what do you think about that?" And then he just jumps in and knocks it out.
Yep, for sure. All right. So it is time once again to thank all of our race car friends, all of you guys watching, all of you guys over here in the comments making comments. Thank you guys. You guys are what's keeping us going week in and week out. Again, loved seeing everybody at Hot Rod Drag Week. It was great. Getting to hang out with everybody again. Mike attends a few more events than I get to attend, just because of our schedules. So anytime that I'm out, it's always great to hang out with people. And then, of course, our sponsors. Again, we can't do this without them. Traveling to events, they make all this happen. So, Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Chains 3D, WAF Racing, Performa Built Transmissions, our new sponsor, J-Wire Solutions, Howard's Cam, Sweet Patina, PowerTube TV, and Racing Junk. And of course, our gentleman's agreement. We do this every week. We're going to continue doing what we do. We need you guys to make comments, share out our live streams, help grow this community, invite people to the Race Car Friends Facebook group. Let's just keep growing everything so we can provide more coverage. So if you guys will do that, then we will continue doing this every week, twice a week, and providing you the best coverage that we can. And then while those guys get ready backstage, I'm going to hit the PowerTube TV ad read. So rev up your engines with PowerTube TV, the ultimate destination for automotive entertainment. Stream for free on the web, Roku, mobile apps, and more. Catch replays of our show and exclusive content from top creators featuring classics like Pinks and Pastime, plus original new shows. They're coming out with new episodes of Pinks and Pastime. PowerTube TV isn't just a platform, it's a community. Join the content creator development program like we're in and be part of something special. So find more at watchpttv.com. So always enjoy providing them with some coverage, exclusive content that they can play. And it's always cool seeing the replay of these episodes over on PowerTube. All right. Looks like they are still getting ready. So I'm going to jump in and go ahead and do this ad read as well. They'll pop in when they're ready. So J-Wire obviously is our newest sponsor. So, expert care in marine wiring solutions you can trust. J-Wire Solutions can wire and plumb your hot rod, race car, drag and drive car. Plus, they offer products to make your driving experience better, like the blinker module that is a must for all drag and drive cars. The module will allow your rear turn signals to continue to function while the brake pedal is applied, just like stock. So once again, we appreciate J-Wire for coming on board. Make sure you guys, if you need any wiring for your vehicles, you hit up J-Wire Solutions as your first spot to check for those parts.
All right, dude. So obviously, my brother here. We're gonna go through a few things with race week first, and then we'll bring him on and we'll talk in depth all that stuff. Let's actually. I think I may have left off the Hot Rod Drag Week decal here or sticker here. So I do want to talk about, as part of the J-Wire Solutions segment today, is the 850 class at Hot Rod Drag Week, because those guys competed in it. Absolutely crazy. 43 cars in that class. Blew my mind, dude. That's a lot.
Yeah, 43 is quite a bit.
Especially when you start looking at how many cars were in other classes. I think a lot of those cars probably could have switched around. But again, for some of those guys that are in that 9 and 10 second range, they know they're not competitive, but they just, they want to be part of it. I hope some of that is kind of influenced by what we do here and how much we talk about it. But top 3 cars for the week: Randy Seward won the class, Brian Acton second place, and Chris Mary in third. Those names are becoming synonymous with that class.
Yes,
and
they are.
The top end of that class, best pass of the week. This is kind of crazy. 8501 on day one by Bill Schwartz. 8502 by Randy Seward is the second quickest pass of the week. 8504 by Mike Mayone, I think actually happened on day one as well. And then an 8506 by both Brian Acton and Mark Cicino sometime during the week. I think 506 came on day 3 for Brian and Jay. I'm sure they're in here watching, but that's tight, man. We joked with actually, I think 506 for Acton came day one. We joked with Mike Glimmy earlier that there were literally, you were in fourth place. Brian and Jay were in fourth place at an 8506 on day one.
Right.
Crazy to me.
Yeah.
In
How
keeping
wild
with
is
that
that?
same theme, yeah, and keeping with the same thing, Limited Street is the 850 class at Race Week, which we're going to talk about. This next is all the classes and winners for Race Week. So 6 cars in that class, which seemed pretty light to me as far as cars in the past. Usually they're in the teen range in that class. Top 3 in that class were Steve Willingham, Keith Finstead, and Felicia Smith. Best passes of the week, the top 3 best passes were actually ran by Steve Willingham. That's why he won the class, obviously. Let's talk about that. Best passes of the week: 8512, 8515, and an 8691, all by Steve. So, we go from what is probably the most contested street race small block power adder we've seen at Drag Week to, a class that wasn't maybe as tight at Race Week. So pretty cool to see there. I'm going to actually pull up and see how many cars, see what the.
But even if you think about that, if you go back a couple years, an 8.512 and an 8.515 would put you pretty well in an 850 class in other events. So it's just wild how far we've gotten into the 850s now to be able to win a class, which is awesome to see. But for new people coming into the 850 class, that's got to be intimidating when you go up there and you see Seward, making pass after pass, knowing that he's got it won, just trying to lower his average, because I think it was Thursday he had an 851 something, which put his average right on the edge of being a 5.0. It might have put him over, I can't remember. So I think he was really trying to get that down, so he couldn't get the 850 every day because of that 851, but I think he could get his average back down to an 850, and that's what he was trying to do when he kept running more passes.
Oh yeah, for sure. And looking here, there were 7 cars that finished the week in street race small block power adder with an 8.5 average.
Mm-hmm.
That's intense, man. That is intense. So let's move on. Let's talk about some race week stuff.
Yeah. So obviously this is the 5th year for doing Rocky Mountain Race Week or 2.0. So we're going to go through just some of the classes here and the winners. So we'll start with the 14.0 index. So that was won by Anthony Watson in a 02 Camaro with a 14.01315 average. So again, we're seeing it, these index classes being a O number. So again, 14.0. So he ran a 14.0059 at Pine Valley, and then a 14.007 at Ennis, and then ran a 14.0 something the rest of the week. So
Wow.
2 days of running a 0.0 in the 14.0 class.
That's intense.
So he did reset the record. The record was held by Ernie Rail in 2020 at a 14.0252. So again, his average this year was a 14.01315. So drop that down. And what I thought was interesting is Ernie held the record in 2020 at the 14.0 index. He actually won this year in the 13.0 index. So
That's
kind of
awesome.
cool seeing that progression of holding a record and now also moving up to the next class.
Mm-hmm.
So then 13.0 index, we had first place was at Ernie Rail in a 1948 Chevy with a 13.078675. So again, you're seeing these zero numbers for the averages for the week, which again, you've got 5 days of racing to average a 0, which is pretty incredible. And then second place was Eric Carroll in a 2016 Lexus GSF, again at a 13.0909 average. So first place was an 07 and second place was an 09. So then we get into the 12.0 index. 12.0 was won by Travis Boltman in a 96 Sierra. Listen to this. His average in the 12.0 index was 12.007875. That's wild. So he ran a 12.002 at Pine Valley, a 12.0019 at Twin City, and then a 12.0 something the rest of the week.
That's what it takes.
Yeah, and he also reset the record, which was previously held by Greg Jones in 2021. The average then was a 12.0146. And again, Travis reset that record at a 12.007875. So pretty wild there. A couple other interesting things about the 12.0 class. Greg Stafford ran a 12.002 on day one at Pine Valley, but wasn't able to finish the week. So he would have been right up there. Actually would have been tied with Travis at that 12.002 for day one. And then the top 10 cars in the 12.0 index all finished with a 12.0 something average.
And I was looking as we were leading up to this, that class had 36 racers in it. So the top 25% had 12.0 averages. The index stuff at Rocky Mountain is by far my favorite stuff to watch outside of the 850 class.
Yeah. So far we've went through 14, 13, and 12, and each one of those classes was won with a 0.0 something.
Mm-hmm.
So then we move on to the 11.0 index that was won by Michael Hollis with an 11.0266625 average. So he ran an 11.008 at Texas, 11.004 at State Capitol, 11.0065 at Twin City, and 11.088 at Pine Valley. So those are some numbers there.
Mm-hmm.
And then second place was Tony Hansen. He had an 11.0417 average. He ran an 11.001 at Texas. And third place was Chris Powell, an 11.0528 average. And he also ran an 11.001 at Twin City. So like first, second, and third, they're 0.00 numbers. And then one more was Kylie Moore ran an 11.008 at Texas and an 11.007 at Twin City.
Jeez.
So we're talking 4 racers there in the 11.0 class that ran 11.00 something. So then we'll move on to the 10.0 index. This was won by Travis Urbach in a 2000 Camaro. This was a 10.0119 average. This is a repeat win for him. He also won in 2023. He ran a 10.003 at Twin City.
And Twin City had it on point.
Dude, it hooked. It hooked for everybody.
Yeah.
Steven said Twin City was where it's at that week.
Yeah. So each one of these 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 indexes had people running in the 00s. So
Wow.
Travis reset the record that was previously held by Ty Thompson in 2021. That record was a 10.0204. And again, Travis had a 10.0119.
Man. And
So then,
I think a lot of folks when we talk about this, it's just numbers, right? Oh man, it should be lower. But y'all, that's 100th of a second across the week.
right,
Across the
5
week.
days.
Like that's 0.25, 0.0025 as you each day you need to be quicker than to get that
Right.
average down. Just wild to me, man.
Yep. And then second place for the 10.0 index, our buddy Red Hat Scotty, 10.052. He ran a 10.004 at Texas.
That's awesome.
And then third place, Jesse Hazlitt, a 10.054. So again,
Wow.
pretty.
Red Hat Scotty barely beat him, but hey, good job, Red Hat Scotty.
Yeah. And then fourth place was Mike Mead with a 10.0598. So when you look at second, third, and fourth here, you've got 10.052, 10.054, and a 10.059. That's second, third, and fourth.
Yeah.
That's wild. And then one more shout out in the 10.0 index, Todd K ran a 10.0097 at State Capitol. So again, you're seeing all these 00 numbers in the index. That's why it's so competitive.
Yeah.
And then so we'll kind of blast through these last ones here. I don't have as many stats for these ones. The 9.0 index was Jacoby Betts with a 73 Camaro at 9.035 average. And a small block, Dave Barry with a 64 Nova, 10.099 average. And a big block, Robert Voss, 1981 Buick Regal with a 10.149 average, which I think he was in the making comments earlier. Stick shift, William Hogan in a 96 GMC with a 9.250 average. And then second place in this one was Bill Armstrong with a 9.36 average. And then third place, Rich Guido with a 9.533 average. So looks like there was some pretty good stick shift racing this week.
Right. And I think Rich posted up that he was surprising Bill Armstrong because he had told everybody he was going to drag week with Matt Blasco, and then they showed up at race week to race Bill. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Gasser class was Joe Greer in a 70 Chevy C10 with an 11.053 average. The unlimited radio.
Hang on. We're sitting with third place Gasser racer right here. Steven Narks in the MG Gasser. We'll talk about that in just a minute too.
Yep, for sure. Unlimited radio. This one I thought was cool. Eric Kuhn. He's got that gorgeous 55 Chevy 210. His average was a 7.499 average. So he reset the record. It was previously held by Giovanni. I didn't catch the last name, so I apologize to Giovanni. But he held the record in 2020 with a 7.633 average. So it went from
score is so nice.
Yeah, it went from a 7.633 down to a 7.499 in unlimited radio. So super cool there. Walter Doyle on the hot rod class, 1966 Chevelle, 8.7672 average. he reset the record that was previously held by Danny Allen in 2020. It was a 8.953 average. So again, 8.953 down to an 8.767 average.
Yeah.
Rowdy Radial, Josh Reach, 2006 Colorado, 5.7835 average. Again, that's 8th mile class, right?
Yep. 8th mile and 235.
Yep. Limited Street, which we talked about just a little bit ago, was Steve Willingham in the 86
Steven
Grand
said he
National.
thinks Josh is the guy that chunked the axle.
Broke the axle studs or something.
Oh, really?
Twins, state capital, I think it was.
Yikes.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll have to do some digging on that. Man, I'm telling you, it's hard not being there and seeing all this. That's the only problem with so many events being on the same week.
Yeah. Yep. So Limited Street was Steve Willingham in the 86 Grand National with an 8.605 average. Pro Street, Daryl Yost in a 1969 Chevelle with an 8.755 average. Outlaw Street, Aaron Schaefer won that in his 98 Camaro with an 8.556 average. And then second place was pretty close. Blaine Thiessen was an 8.590 average. So again, pretty close race there. Unlimited was Earl, and you're going to have to help me with the last name on this one.
I think it's Schneider, something like that.
Yeah.
Dang it. Adam Doherty told me one time, but I forgot.
Yeah. So he's got a 2000 Mustang. Average was a 7.638 average. Motorcycle was Chris Baker, 08 Suzuki Hayabusa, 9.864 average. And then the Junior Street, I didn't get the stats on that, but that was Isabella Holt in a 2018 F-150.
Yeah, and they kind of run Junior Street as it's almost like a bracket, like you're like a dial-in. You're trying to run as close as you can across the week. So, we may have to start looking at those as far as like when, what the gap is there, not necessarily what the ET is, which I think I had it as the record in there for the ET, because they're limited to 9.0 in the 8th. So.
So again, that is the rundown of the winners and some interesting stats throughout the week for race week.
Yep, and I have my notes inside with the class counts, but I do remember 12.0 index being the largest at 36 cars, and 10.0 index being the largest at 34 cars, and everything else kind of fell from there. But we say it all the time, like just get in your car, do some performance upgrades, and go racing. Yeah, I mean, have a good time, but like 12.0's quick. 12.0 do a great burnout. Ask Chuck Johnson. 10.0's is even faster. At that point, you're getting pretty competitive because you need to figure out, real traction. You can't just keep pouring the power on later on. You got to finish out. You got to figure out your launch, and especially to be competitive in the race week trim or Street Machine Eliminator. Those classes, Pro DY or DYO with sick events. I mean, you've got to be on the money. You've got to be able to run low 10s. I like how Drag Week does the top 32 as a bracket race. That's kind of cool. Are we going to see some stuff from that? I don't know if they'll keep that forever, but it's interesting to kind of give those guys a little bit of a race in the afternoon. But I think things are probably going to move more towards this index stuff. We see index racing being adopted by Midwest Drags with the 10, 11, and 12 class. You've got Heads Up Hustle has a 10.0, 1150, and 13.0. And then this year, based on how successful John Paul did with his 3 index, that's why we added the 12.0 and the 11.0 index for the circuit.
Mm-hmm.
One, because I want people to be able to use the circuit as a test bed for Rocky Mountain. We have a lot of crossover between those two events simply because of the geographic locations of them. And so it makes it easier. People can come do some testing with us. Now, the air is not going to be the same as it is going to be in June or whatever for Rocky Mountain, but you start looking at some of the same tracks. We start talking about getting your combination right and figuring out the roadways and things like that. So I don't know. I like index stuff. I like that these guys can't go faster than that number. I think that really adds a lot when you start looking at, Travis Urbach 10.003. I mean, dude, how do you fight with somebody that has a week like that where they're running their end average is a 10:01? You know, Annie
Right.
won in 2023, and we were at Bandamere in 2023. So I mean, like it was just completely different. I don't know.
Still got to finish the week.
And you still got to finish the week. That's for sure. And again, we're going to look at all this stuff. I appreciate Eric put all this stuff together, so I appreciate that. We're going to have some artwork that's going to surround this, and we're going to take a deep dive. I'll reach out to a couple of these racers that won their classes or got real close. You know, a lot of times the second place guy has a better story sometimes than the number one. You know, if you lead all week and then mess up on day 4, you know that's a hard story, and we see
Yeah.
that quite a bit. So it's fun looking at those kind of daily averages and seeing how the standings shake out. So
Yeah. Yeah. We'll probably do a recap of at least the record resets on Saturday morning.
yeah, pretty cool stuff, man. I appreciate you doing that for sure. I know that's a ton of work.
I don't think
Together.
I don't think you went through any of the photos while I was talking either.
Nope, I sure did. There's all the trophies right there.
Voss's car is so loud.
Steven saying Robert Voss's
But
car.
it sounded awesome in the morning time.
Nice.
Buddy.
All right, so let's jump in. Let's get through the
Yeah.
intro here, and then we'll get on to Steven.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Harris from the Monoxide Podcast. Real quick, Howard's Cams was founded as a racing cam manufacturer almost 80 years ago when Howard Johansson created Howard's Power and Racing Equipment in 1945. Howard's Cams has always used on-track experience to design the most powerful designs, and today they have an even greater group of experienced racers in circle track, drag racing, road race, mud bog, and marine. They use all this input plus the most advanced computer software to design the most competitive race-winning products. From pioneers in drag racing and oval track to cutting-edge marine development, Howard's Cams is at the forefront of the industry. So make sure to reach out to our friend, Luke B, for your next valve train upgrade.
All right. Well, perfect. Well, first thing out of the gate here, we're going to talk about in the Howard's Cams segment is some dudes I met Hot Rod Drag Week 2022. One of the first group of guys that were pitted right next to where they were parked right next to where we parked for the evening before day 1. Had the camp set up, and these guys were, I mean, literally, you know, I had never been to Drag Week. These guys were super nice. It's Jim Everett and Dan. They were running Jim's 55 that he raced this year, the Jericho 4-speed car that looks, you know, got a real gasser look to it. Well, obviously, we became friends 2022, saw each other again 2023, and they had brought Dan's 67 Chevelle, I think is what it is. And during all of the conversations and stuff like that, I had talked with Jim about, you know, he had a GoPro with him. He was asking me a few things, and we started talking about editing and filming and what they wanted to do and all that kind of stuff. And you know, he said he for a long time he would take pictures of all these adventures and then he would put them on video and put music to it, and then they would have a night at home. And he'd have his friends over, and they'd all come over, and they'd kind of have some beers and enjoy the time of just going through this hour-long video of pictures. Well, he had picked up a GoPro, and now he was recording video. And so he was figuring out editing, and him and I had several conversations after that about, you know, style and what to use and all that kind of stuff. So it's really fun to see this guy that is probably in his 60s kind of start figuring this stuff out. You know, I love documenting all the stuff we do. Steven knows this. I've recorded thousands and thousands of videos of the stuff that we've done. And so to hear and help this guy kind of move from just pictures to now, you know, videos and stuff like that. Well, at Drag Week 2024, we're standing in the lanes, and Jim comes up and he's like, I want to give you something. And now listen, I don't take gifts well. Typically I like to give gifts. I don't take them well. So he said, and he hands me a thumb drive, and he's like, I made this, and I just wanted you to have it. I want you to watch it. It's our adventure from 2023. He said, I'm going to give one to Rovik as well, just because you guys are always really nice. You helped me out, blah, 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 all this stuff. So I watched it for a few minutes, and y'all, this is good stuff. So I asked him if it was okay. We're going to play about 2.5 minutes here, but Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the YouTube channel for Drag Driver Pete, I'm going to literally put this 2-hour video on there, and it'll live in immortality. It'll always be there. And it'll be Jim and Dan's experience from Hot Rod Drag Week 2023. So I wanted to go ahead and play this for you guys because this is really cool to me for someone to trust me with this kind of stuff. And so this is the opening sequence to it. I did have to change the song that's at the end. It's way better song that's at the end, but if we do that on the live, we're going to get demonetized. So I changed the song at the end. The actual video is really good. I've made it through about 25 or 30 minutes of it, and it's great stuff. So I'm going to play it now.
This is Jim Rockford at the tone. Leave your name and message. I'll get back to you.
Hey Jim, remember Dan and I'll be on Drag Week this week. Hope you can make it.
Now, again, I'll play the full video in the way Jim edited it all and stuff like that on Friday, but couldn't do that with the live stream here. So it's really fun. It's a great video, and guys, I'm posting it here and telling you document more stuff. Take videos. Take too many videos. It doesn't matter. Save them on a computer somewhere. Don't just keep deleting them from your phone. Take a lot of stuff as you go through stuff. Steven knows this. I record just about everything we do as we're running around. And then next up, I want to talk about Bryant Goldstone. So this is the car that those guys raced in 2024. So you guys will recognize this car. Super cool, 4-speed, literally a Jericho 4-speed, big block gasser setup. Love this setup. It's really fun to watch these guys race. And then today, Bryant Goldstone and Brian Robbins were on the Wes Buck Show, again, spreading the good word about drag and drive. This was really cool to see. Wes talks about drag racing in all forms: Top Fuel, Pro Mod, Funny Car, all that kind of stuff. And to see guys from our community on an episode like that, it really just shows, how much reach this has. And those guys got to tell the story of taking the engine out of the car and fixing the head and all that kind of stuff. I think they were just starting to get warmed up as their time was allotted. So we'll have to have those guys on here. They've been on several times, but we'll have to have them on and tell that story because, man, they had a hard week of it for sure.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen it yet, please go over and watch it and make comments. It's on Drag Illustrated. Obviously, it's today's live stream, episode 360. Please go over there and make some comments. Let Wes know that you want more drag and drive content on Drag Illustrated because we don't get enough out of these large drag racing magazines. We don't get enough content or enough coverage for the whole community. But one thing that Bryant did say is that he said it was nice when there was just one event a year. He said you could build the car, you could test ahead of time. Now they're testing at the event the day before it starts. And really, it goes back to being part of the community because those guys, this is their fourth week-long drag and drive event to do this year. You know, Bryant did one with Rob Sanders earlier this year. So Brian Robbins has literally burned 3 weeks of vacation to go on drag and drives, which are not vacations. They are not vacations to be out there and be out and
Sometimes they
about.
are, sometimes they are not.
No way, man. Um, they were telling a story of Brian Robbins literally standing up when they were swapping that engine, or not swapping the engine, but pulling it out, fixing it, and put it back in. Where Brian was literally standing up and fell down because he was so tired. He just literally dirt nap for a minute. That's how hard it is. So,
Yeah.
and then Bryant Goldstone and his wife will be on 666 in a 2017 Corvette. So
That's
be a
super
lot
cool.
easier for them then.
But that's going to be his 5th week-long event this year.
Yeah, it's
So-
pretty wild to think about that, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's
And-
almost more vacation than I get in a year. So
Well, hey, that's the way some folks get to live. I'm glad that he is such a huge ambassador for the sport, and to do that in that car. And they were telling stories of the oil pan and the 160-degree firewall temps and all that stuff. And guys like Wes Buck, they don't understand that. They've never seen that. They've never been involved in that. Even when they did Sick Week, they still rode in a rental car between tracks. So they were talking about Mike Carpenter, who's obviously Wes's kind of right-hand guy, and they were talking about going to Sick Week 2025. And I hope they do. And I hope that if anybody sees them here and they are getting in their rental car, tell them to get in the hot rod. Please get in the hot rod.
Sweat to death with all of them.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk to the man of the hour here. Eric, can you hear him okay with the mic?
I don't say much.
yeah, I can hear him.
Okay, so if you guys don't know, this is my brother. I know we don't look anything alike, but this is Steven Narks, my younger brother. I used to call him my little brother, but he's not little anymore. He's a grown-ass man. So I will say forever, just a little backstory. We've always been car guys, so that kind of gives you an idea. We both had motorcycles at a young age. We both had motorcycles as our first cars. We both have had hot rods forever, and he has had way more hot rods than I have. Very accomplished builder, LS swaps, full frame cars. I mean,
Anything really.
everything under the sun. If you want to look at some of the stuff he's built, you guys are more than welcome. Narcoleptic Customs on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, I don't post as much anymore over there, and I'll get us a new photo put up of that. But I mean, does all of his own work, right? Like there's very little that he hires out to do. And it's pretty fun to see just the growth that he's had. For a long time, he built cars for himself. Now he builds cars for people. So pretty fun. All kinds of all LSs, LTs, mod motor swaps, Terminator swaps, all kinds of really cool stuff right here. I'm in Bentonville. He's in Decatur, Arkansas. If you guys want to ship something to him, I'm sure he would. He would
20
do.
minutes apart, maybe?
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes apart.
Yep. And first time we've lived that close as adults in probably
Forever.
12 or 15 years. So it's pretty fun for him to be here. They've lived here for a good while now, but putting some roots down in Decatur and built a 40 by 40 shop and works out of it all the time. So I wanted to have him on because he just got back from race week. Obviously, him being so close, one, it's beneficial for Eric and I here because he can come on and tell some stories from race week. But then also, I kind of wanted him to talk through the history of this MG that went from like a fun corner carving turbo 4-cylinder to now a gasser build. So we're going to kind of run through Steven's race week history. If you want to see some other stuff, he's been on the Narcoleptic Customs podcast back when I did that. We've talked about all of our history and all that kind of stuff. So I want to run through. So 2020 started my race week, doing drag and drive experiences.
Right.
So Steven didn't live here in 2020, I don't think, or didn't go.
I didn't go in 2020.
Yep. And then, so his started 2021. And that's what this picture is here, is of me in the Narcs cart, me and Dustin Prince in the Narcs cart, pulling a trailer, and Steven and Ryan Prince in the MG kind of
Early stage.
2.0 build of
Yeah.
the MG, small turbo. It had an aftermarket turbo, but small cam, still stick shift, all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of like that first rendition. So tell us, like, walk us through this picture here, and then kind of what's going on here, and then we're going to talk about what happened next.
So that picture right there, we're underneath the overpass because we're fighting overheating problems. Because I put straight antifreeze in the radiator. Live and learn. Should have added some water to it. I'd been good, but other than that, like, it was going down the highway good, and all of a sudden it wasn't. We turned off for another overheating problem. So, but other than that, it was small turbo, stock head, or small cam, small turbo, factory injectors, all that fun stuff. So,
And that setup made like 250 or 240 or something like that.
250.
Yeah.
So
And the reason we were pulling off is because Steven said the steering was a little wonky, and it had, I didn't put the picture in here, but it had like a late model dirt track steering.
I still run that actually. I still did run that. So it's a dirt track rack and pinion. It's a Sweet Manufacturing or Woodward Manufacturing, same concept. But it's like a 1 3/4 turn lock to lock. So I mean, super quick turn, but the shaft that goes in between them snapped in half. So I built that car like 10 years ago, I think, something like that. So I didn't know the geometry aspects of it then. So when I figured it out and got the steering shaft rebuilt, that's when I learned.
Yeah. So essentially the pivot points of the steering box and arms were wider than what the control arm mounts were. So really kind of putting it in a bind. So we're under a bridge here, fixing that. Obviously the NARCS cart pretty easy. So this kind of created an interesting scenario here. Steven has a very good customer named Joe Reed, who owns a local plumbing service in Fayetteville, and is always has fun, cool cars. So this picture that folks are looking at, and for the folks that are on the podcast, you're missing out. Go to YouTube, find it. This is a Volkswagen Golf cart.
Yep. So I just got done putting the roof panels on that thing, and I called him to see if I could borrow it for the week. He said absolutely. So had somebody bring it to me, and they took my car home, and we rocked that one all week. It has a VR6 with I think it was a GT45 turbo.
Yeah, it was
a
huge.
big turbo, but it was just for sound. So
yeah, and looks like the turbo was at the roof line of the car. So you can imagine I have the NARCS cart, which has a turbo on it, and now we pull up in the NARCS cart and this Volkswagen Golf cart. It was pretty wild. That trip was the last time I've driven the NARCS cart.
Yeah.
That was tell them what's going on here in this picture.
you broke it. That's what went on.
I didn't break the one on the left.
Oh, I was sorry. This one's the one. Oh, that's when we lost the wheel bearing. Oh,
Yeah.
So we're coming back from Mid America.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about 2 o'clock in the morning after running to a checkpoint, and like spark comes out the side. I look out, and another spark comes out the side. I was like, oh, that ain't good. So wheel bearing shot, and that's probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I tore the whole thing off, and then had to wait all day for somebody brought me a bearing from Oklahoma City.
Yeah, another race. So we were in Ponca City, Oklahoma, and another race weeker went to the hub of one of the parts stores and picked up this VR6 wheel bearing and drove it all the way to Ponca City so Steven could fix it. We tried to rent a car to finish. They laughed at us when we went into Enterprise. They were like, "You're trying to rent one for today?" We were like, "Yeah." They're like, "No, there's no way. You're not getting one of those today."
I don't know why Ponca City is so busy, but it was that.
Yeah, apparently it was. And then the picture on the right is of us picking up the NARCS cart after it had successfully destroyed drive and overdrive and most of first gear. So it's not to drive anymore.
If you pull a car dolly empty, like 85, it will come 4 feet off the ground.
Yes, they bounce like crazy. I used to have one.
Yeah.
When you did that wheel bearing, wasn't that like, didn't you pull over outside of somebody's house or something? Wasn't there a story there with that or no?
No, that was just that's a hotel parking lot right there.
Okay.
Yeah,
I remember
we ended up, there was a machine shop in town
Yeah.
that had been around since like his dad had owned it
Yeah.
since the 30s or something like that, and they really tried to repair the one um, that was there to get on the road because nobody had a way to get us one. And so during the time of Steven doing that, this is like across Ponca City, which is very small. I mean, it's probably 2,000 people, 3,000 people, something like that. And, but across town on that's 3 or 4 miles, we didn't have scooters then. So it wasn't like you were going to jump on the scooter and run down there
So I just chilled with that dude all day.
all day long. It was an interesting spot, but really cool old school stuff. He had like some bottle openers from the 70s that his dad had printed up, so we got those going. We gotta go faster. Sorry. Great stories there. If you want to hear those, you can hear those as you come along. Then this is Race Week 2022. So 2021, Stephen was a road weeker, and then at that point, I knew that I was no longer going to race and get content. So I relinquished my spot to him because one, he's a better racer than I am. But then also, I knew that there was no way I was going to race and be able to get the level of content I wanted.
That still was the same setup right there, I think.
Yeah. So it's now painted. It looks better. And this was the first year that it kind of started getting some attention.
Yeah. So well, it finally made it there. Yeah, that was a big 1320 video year on that one. So yep. So it was a great car. It did great. The side muffler did great. It was nice and quiet all the time.
Yeah.
So it looked so shiny right there.
It was shiny.
Yeah,
There
right.
wasn't a lot of road grime. So
Yeah.
what kind of ETs did you run in 2022?
I think in 22 we only ran like 13s or something like that. Blake was on me about fuel filters, and I told him no, and blah blah blah, back and forth, and it was fuel filters. So live and learn. Just next time trust your co-pilot.
Yeah.
So, but after that, we finally got it picked up after that. So
Yeah, and then 2023,
20,
where was I at the first half of 2023? But I flew into Denver for some reason. I don't remember where I was.
you gone all the time. I don't know. 2023, we finally got it picked up into the 12s, I think. But that I went to E85 in 2023 and fought some stuff there, but I think 2023 is where we really picked up. But the circuit is where we got our fastest time at, and that was right before I sold the 2.3. So,
Yeah,
And-
and a little difference here in the years. You can see the trailer difference. This is important later because we're
Yeah.
going to talk about this trailer
so
too.
that trailer right there has been rebuilt. That way I can carry two gas cans and slicks and all that stuff.
And that's what you call like your regional, your weekender
My weekend.
trailer.
Yeah.
And then
I put it back to almost factory.
yeah, and then this one here is
It's a week long one. So
yeah.
It works. So it works great. I still like carrying it. We carried it on race week. So it works great. So I think I'm gonna redo it again this year for next year when we do mega week. So that way hopefully get a pop-up tent on top, or not a pop-up tent, but like hopefully get a rooftop tent for the top of it and stuff like that. We're fancy with like AC. It's real nice. It was hot, real hot and humid this week.
Yeah, we're going to talk about 24 in just
Yeah.
a second. So, give us what's going on right here.
So it's like I'm talking about 10 miles out of Pueblo, I think, on 23 the first day. Snapped the trailer tongue. I welded it thin. I welded it good, but I grinded it off so it's nice and pretty. Yeah, don't do that.
That was not the way
You
to do
should
that.
put fish plates on there if you do that. So, live and learn. So, but we broke that. We waited. Man, I think we were on the side of the road for probably 2-3 hours right there. So just chilling. So
Yeah.
waiting on Juggernaut. He come and fixed it, and we rocked on it. It held all the way to Kearney, and then about 7/8 of the way back, and snapped again.
Yeah. So
Broken in a different part though.
Pueblo to Kearney is how many miles?
It was like 400 and something, 480 or something like that. It was a lot.
Long ways. That's
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things about.
And we smoked the turbo that same night at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Blake stuck his head out the window and looked at it. It was just nice and cherry red, and like that's not good. So, so as you can see that over on the welding, that was that next morning about 8 o'clock in the morning. after limping it back. That's actually Rob Lipinski's shop. I didn't know that at the time until we got there and he told us. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So he was out here racing with us too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we had our struggles in 23 for sure.
So-
trailer and turbos. And,
Yeah, so that was the trip that you drove with no internals on the turbos?
so as you can see, that's the exit wheel or exhaust wheel. So we took it out and turned it around and literally beat it back in there with a hammer, so it wouldn't spin and wouldn't shoot oil anywhere. Made a pass with no turbo. Drove all the way from Kearney back to Bandimere with no turbo. Made a pass, I think, at Bandimere. And then the next day, I found the turbo on Facebook, and they brought it down from North Denver. So
That's
fought that one
awesome.
on there, and then we were kind of back in the works, but we didn't
So-
get to where we needed to be.
Yeah, so Juggernaut, you had what did you had to do something was different about the mounting between the
No,
turbo you
so-
had and the one that you
So I borrowed a turbo from Travis Margaret,
Tyler Maggart.
Tyler, sorry. Borrowed a turbo from him. It was a T4. I have a B-band, so had to go dig the turbo out of his locker box. Then go to some other dude's house, have him weld some adapters up, and then tried to run it, but it was like a 62. It wouldn't spool it like I needed it to. So
Especially in Bandimere.
yeah. I think we actually did the mountain drive with the 62, and then I found a 58, and that's what I ran until I felt the motor.
Yeah. So and then I met up with you guys at Bandimere
Yep.
on the first day of Bandimere, and then we did like an 80-mile loop that literally took all day
All day.
because people
it
were
was-
sightseeing and all that stuff. So this is just down from Red Rocks in a big
It was
I
literally
don't know.
right behind the drag strip, but it was across like what do they call it, like Dinosaur Ridge or something like that.
Mhm.
It was like right behind that, so it was an awesome shot. It wasn't even a checkpoint.
Yeah, and then
we were there forever.
yeah, an hour or two for sure. And Blake got a bunch of drone type stuff, and we need to get that from him at some point.
Yeah.
But a lot of cool photos and that you can find those on Narcoleptic Customs on the Facebook page. But that was a neat day because there was I think I was riding with Jesse Fox.
Mhm.
I think I was with Jesse Fox that week, and so we were cruising along together in kind of a group. Steven and Blake would run on, and then Jesse and I would grab photos of all the other stuff. But I do want to give a big shout out to Juggernaut because those guys ran around all week long. I don't think they were at the track very often. They were getting stuff for people. They were welding stuff up. They were fixing
They've
stuff.
saved me a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We're run down here in the last 6 or 7 minutes here, but so walk us through. Steven sold the turbo. He's building a new car. What the heck did you do to the MG?
Well, dude bought the motor. I sold the trans, and then I had the 350 sitting there. Blake brought me a turbo 400 that was no good, that needed rebuilt. Traded that for a working turbo 350, and then called a buddy Wes Evans. He had some Jeep axles, Jeep Grand Cherokee axles. Started chopping them up and cutting them down, and ended up with a gasser.
Yeah. One of
It
the
pulled the front left wheel for.
I don't.
every time.
Hey, I'm telling you, I think this has the passenger wheel up. I was watching some of the
So
live
do-
stream and
so
some of
do.
the videos. This looks really
Well,
close.
that's what Blake said too. But like, dude, I have an extra battery in the back. I bet I got 150 pounds extra in the back in the little bitty truck that I'm already taking up a lot of.
Nice.
I wanted that front right wheel to come up, but dude, like, I can't see enough daylight in it to say it did.
What
I don't
size
know, man.
wheels are on the back of that?
Dude, 22 7.5s. Like 15. Dude, they never spun. Everybody gave me so much crap, but like, dude, they never spun. Like, I could launch off the line, never spin. I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm not going to change them if they're hooking. So,
Right.
And dude, they're a road course tire. They're not even like a drag race slick. Like, they're a road course, but like, dude, they grip every time.
That's wild. Yeah, and that
Dude.
first picture, the tires look so tiny on it.
Oh yeah,
They are so tiny.
Dude, well, when
Look at that.
when Fred was asking me on 1320, that's the only reason I know the size because I was like, let me look.
Yeah.
So it's the same ones I ran on the 2.3.
But they just didn't look that small, man.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
'cause the car was 7 inches shorter.
Yeah. So I want to talk about camping because
Yeah.
you guys do that to save some money,
Yeah.
obviously. So what's your camp setup?
Last year we did a big 10 by 20 easy up with 4 walls and a tarp for the bottom floor. It worked okay, but the wind shake on the sidewalls, I just couldn't handle it. So it kept me up a lot. So this year we actually went to a regular tent and it has an AC port in it. So we ran a generator and an AC, and it did okay. So like
Hmm.
I'm fine with it. Like it. There was one morning in State Capitol in Baton Rouge. We woke up. I woke up. They slept later. But dude, I walked out and I was like, it was like a slap in the face with the humidity. I was like, whoa, let me go back in here just a minute. So,
Nice.
but yeah, I want to do a rooftop with an AC though,
Yeah.
or a pop up. But like, I only want to spend like 500 on a pop up, and like 500, you get a disease. I'm like, I won't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
I
not.
didn't have enough time to buy one that cheap and clean it
Yeah.
to make sure I didn't die, come back home with something.
Yeah.
So I was like,
And we're looking at all kinds of stuff.
man.
You know,
I want a teardrop, so or something. I want to take that green one that I have and build something on top and stay on it.
Yeah.
So, I like the trailer. It's cool. It's like from the 60s or 70s. It's like an Apache Eagle or something like that. Is what it was called.
I mean, you almost could fit a mattress on top of that thing.
So, dude, it was like
Yeah.
2 full size mattresses slid out both sides. Like when it was together. I got it when it was all together, but the canvas was just trashed on it. But like the canvas was freaking $1,000, $1,200. I was like, I can't do that. So yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So
All packed.
these sides would like fold out flat, and there would be
Yeah.
there'd be
Oh,
something there.
Yep.
gotcha.
And this is him gutting the interior.
Yep.
Sorry, we're running out of time, but
You're good.
he's built the floor in it, raised the fenders up, all that kind of stuff. So I mean, like that's what I keep telling him. I'm like, man, you could. There's a lot of room there that you could make.
Yeah,
I
I
do like
want
the
to figure
idea
out
of
get
something
the
on the
hump
roof.
out. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to get the hump out, make it flat, and then like I think I just want to take the top, like where the like the rooftop tent would be, and just make it fold out so you can literally reach down there and get all your stuff, and then you just come back down and it's solid mounted.
Yeah.
It's my plan. So that way I wouldn't have because those 2 sides right there that pop like this, the little latches you can't open by yourself, and
Mm.
It's a
when you get real
super
mad,
dumb
you'll bend
design.
one like I did earlier.
Yeah, it's really dumb design.
Yeah.
All right. Lastly, I want to talk about your driving style because you guys typically drive after racing
Yep.
for a while or all the night.
So I have not had to keep freaking temperatures down. Like I've always tried to run like the cars are running hot. I'm trying to keep shit under there, like small engine bay. So we run at night and we'll run till 2, 3, 6 in the morning, wherever. Depends on how far we want to make it. So like we're fine with driving. Like we drove from Enos we drove 180 miles that night and we left late and then drove another like one night we drove almost 300 miles. I think we got there at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's like, man, yep, time to crash. You know,
Right. And so, Eric and I talked about this on Drag Week, how these guys race during the morning. And then once it's the hottest part of the day, they're driving.
yeah, I don't like that.
Right.
I don't do that.
So if you're
We did
trying
that.
to kind of plan, like you'd almost have to stop somewhere for 4 or 5
Well, we
hours.
did that at State Capitol. We raced in the morning and then had to drive that afternoon. I was like, I don't like this at all. I like racing at night and driving during the night. So and then when shit breaks, you can just stay there. You know,
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I broke. I
Yep.
drive tomorrow.
And I think that's why a lot of people drive during the day is because they feel a little more, feel a little safer. Somebody's going to be coming up behind me. But, if it's cool outside and you have the opportunity to work on it, say you have the parts, you can have it fixed and
Yeah.
not be in danger of people driving on by you.
I agree.
All right. Last up here, I want to know what's next for you, for the MG, for the trailer in the shop.
So the MG will be getting tore apart. So I thought about selling it, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm gonna cut the whole passenger side off and take the driver door off, hang them on the wall. And I got another MG that I'm building right now with a K motor, like a Honda motor. So trying to push pretty hard on it, try to have it done by June. I don't know if I can do it by April, but I'll try.
April for the circuit. Yeah.
Yep. And then for the shop, it's trying to get Lauren's room done. She's got a hobby room now, and then like trying to do an add-on on the backside, like a big lean-to, so everything's under the covers and stuff like that, and then just try to crank stuff out as much as I can. Hopefully another lift sooner or later, and then some more help eventually.
Yeah. So got a lot of really cool cars in the shop that you're working on right now. What's the next step for the trailer? You think a rooftop tent deal?
Rebuild, basically get that big hump out of the middle, I think I wanted to go to torsion axles so I can lose the big leaf springs. So that way it would get everything flat. And if it's flat, you could probably sleep in the middle of it. It might be tight for two people, but you could really sleep pretty good side by side. So just slide in the door and just sleep it.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think I would really like to have a rooftop. I don't care if it folds out or if it's like the hard shell. I think the hard shell would be cooler, but at the same time, it don't matter.
Yeah.
So just something that's more setup friendly. So the tent was super easy, but if I can do it all in one and don't have to carry it out and it's not taking up room, it's a game changer. Yeah. So
anything for him, Eric?
No, I don't think so. Other than so are you going to run this MG next year, or are you going to run the other MG?
No, I'm shooting for the other MG next year. So this one, it's got a small block Chevy 350 and a turbo 350, and I'll probably pull it out and put it in my little S10 that I have. And I was talking to Jason Hurley, and he was talking about building a gasser style thing. So might reach out to him, see if he wants some axles. So see if I can't get them to him somehow or another. So
It'd have to be tiny.
Hey man, hey, it's a lot of fun, man. Dude, it's 82 inches or 81-inch wheelbase. It turned pretty easy. So we only had a couple sketchy turns. So it was we're headed towards the ditch if it don't quit bouncing.
So are you going to get
rid of trailer leaf springs?
Are you going to get rid of this one completely then?
I'll tear it all the way apart. Yeah. So I already took the independent front suspension, the rear end, and all that stuff. It's already on the new one. So all that's going to be left is a shell. So it's
didn't you just finish last week and you've already done all that?
Yeah. I haven't done it yet, but it's together. But my problem is I got to buy another radiator, and I don't want to buy another radiator. It'd be the third radiator in 2 weeks, and I don't want to do that. Yeah. So fans like those radiators on that stupid car for whatever reason.
Because they have no room for flex.
Yeah.
I feel like you can get it down to just a shell, and it can be like a shop art or lawn art.
Well, that's what I would do. I was going to take the whole passenger side. There's a great body line I could cut at, and just build a frame and just hang it on the wall.
Yeah.
So hang the whole passenger side because it's got most of my stickers, and then the windshield and the driver door. So maybe the driver fender, and then just start adding stickers, all on those on the wall.
I like it.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll see. So I'll post pictures if it goes on the wall.
Right.
So
yeah, on Narcoleptic Customs.
Yep. Yep.
All right, get out of here. I'll be done in just a minute. Let me see them. See, that's what you can do when you're the older brother.
Uh-oh. I think you made that comment and then you froze yourself. All right. Let me get to the end of these photos here because I think he hit something there when he was taking his headphones off. All right. Well, as we wrap up again, thanks to all of our race car friends, everybody in here watching, everybody making comments, everybody that we see at all these events. You guys are what keep us motivated and keep us doing this. So thank you. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Again, Summit Racing Equipment, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Chains 3D, WAF Racing, Performabuilt Transmissions, our newest sponsor, J-Wire Solution, Howard's Cams, Sweet Patina, Power Tube TV, and Racing Junk. Appreciate everybody. We will see you guys Saturday morning when we do our news show. See you guys.